Hi y'all, this is Larry from Deep South Texas, and today we're going to make a really special cheese. It's called Cotswold. Now this recipe is loosely based on Gavin Weber's latest Cotswold recipe, but I think it's going to be fun and I look forward to seeing how it tastes. And the ingredients are 3 gallons of whole milk, 1 packet of direct set Mesophilic culture, a half a teaspoon of Annatto, 3/4 of a teaspoon of calcium chloride, 3/4 of a teaspoon of rennet, a half a teaspoon of granulated garlic, a tablespoon of minced onions, a tablespoon of dried chives, and 2.5 tablespoons of non-iodized salt. So the first thing we do is heat our milk to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, we've reached our target temperature of 90 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's time to add in our Mesophilic culture. We're just going to sprinkle it on the top of the milk. Then we'll let that rehydrate for 5 minutes and stir it in. It's been 5 minutes and the culture has rehydrated. Now we're going to thoroughly stir it into our milk. And then we'll put the cover on it and let that set for 45 minutes to acidify the milk. Okay, it's been 45 minutes. It's time to add some more ingredients. So here we have the Annatto. It's been mixed in 1/4 cup of non-chlorinated water. We'll stir that in. This will add a little bit of yellow color to the cheese. And then we have the calcium chloride also mixed in 1/4 cup of non-chlorinated water. This will replace some of the stuff that comes out of the milk when it's pasteurized. Get that thoroughly stirred in. And now we're going to add the rennet. This has also been mixed in 1/4 cup of non-chlorinated water. And the rennet is what sets the milk into a curd. So once we add the rennet, we only stir for 1 minute. And then we'll cover it and let it set for 45 minutes and see if the milk has set. Well, it's been 45 minutes and it's time to cut the curd. And this curd for this cheese gets cut into 1/4 inch cubes. So let's get started. So first, I'm going to cut this way, then this way, and then diagonally. We'll get back when that's done. Well, the curd has been cut, and now we're going to let it set and heal up for 5 minutes. It's dropped in temperature down to 88 degrees Fahrenheit, so once it's healed, we'll be putting it back on the double boiler to bring it back up to 90. So it's been 5 minutes and the curds are healed, and we have the pot back over in the double boiler to bring it up a couple degrees to 90 degrees Fahrenheit again. And we're going to gently start stirring the curds, cut any big curds if we see them, and we'll continue to stir the curds for 30 minutes at 90 degrees. Okay, we've been stirring the curd at 90 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes. And as you can see, the curd has released a lot of whey and has shrunk down quite a bit. Now we're going to slowly bring the temperature up over the next 30 minutes to 104 degrees Fahrenheit. We have reached our target temperature of 104 degrees. That's what the curds look like now. Now we'll maintain at this temperature and continue to stir the curds for another half hour. So I have a wire mesh colander sitting on top of a pan that has been lined with cheesecloth. We're going to pour our curds and whey into this and collect the curds. And now we're going to let that drain for a few minutes. Well, the curds have drained for a few minutes, and now we're going to transfer them back to the original pan. And we're just going to break them up a little bit. So now, let's sprinkle in our salt. And get that mixed in real well. So the salt is mixed in. Now let's put in our chives. And our onions, and our garlic powder, garlic granules. And then we're going to mix that in as well. So now let's get these curds into the mold. Have the mold is lined with the same cheesecloth that we drained the curds with. Oh my, this the onions and the chives smell really good. Now we're going to fold the cheesecloth over the top, put on the follower, and get this in the press. Well, the cheese is in the press, and we're going to put on about 10 pounds of weight, or what amounts to 10 pounds of weight, and press the cheese for 30 minutes. It's been a half hour. Let's get this out of the press and flip it over. You can see that the whey is way more cloudy than usual, and I'm pretty sure that's the onions. I did find a wayward piece of curd after I had gotten the mold filled, and I tasted it. Usually at this point in the game, the curds are pretty bland, but that one was just wonderful. So I'm really looking forward to this cheese. Okay, should have formed up a little bit. They're still pretty fragile at this point. What it looks like, we got a pretty nice distribution, at least the chives can be seen. So we flipped it. Let's put it back in the mold, and I think I'm going to continue to press this with 10 pounds of weight for another half hour. And then after that, I'll put on 20 pounds and for a couple hours. And then I will flip it and put on 50 pounds for a couple hours.
Well, I've had this cheese in the cheese press overnight with 100 pounds of weight. It's now time to take it out and see the results. So in my press, 2 milk jugs full of water equals about 100 pounds of weight. So no special weights. And take a look at overnight. The very, very small amount of whey that comes out. So, all right. I also put a second, thicker, smaller follower on top of the real follower just to help distribute the weight when I'm pressing with that much weight. Because this follower is kind of thin. All right. The cheesecloth will be fairly well stuck to it, but it peels right off. And there is our cheese. It looks pretty good. Now, I always get questions about how much does a cheese weigh, and in general, I use 3 gallons of milk. It usually yields just slightly less than 3 pounds of cheese. But let's go ahead and measure this. Okay, I've got these scales set for pounds and ounces. Let's put a little mat on top and tear that out. Sorry for the camera movement here. And put the cheese on. So it weighs 3 pounds 8 ounces. That's a little bit heavier than what I was expecting. So I think we probably have a little bit moister cheese than normal. That's okay. Well, let's take a closer look at this cheese. Looks like it's got a fairly good distribution of the chives, and I'm sure the onions as well, though they won't show up. I will be air drying this cheese for 2 or 3 days and then waxing it. It will go in the cheese cave for 3 to 4 months before we try it. I can't wait. Again, this is Cotswold cheese. It's cheese made with chives and onions, and I have a little bit of garlic in this one as well. I really can't wait to taste it. I think it's going to be great. It'll be ready in about 3 to 4 months. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it that thumbs up. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time.